Hello again everybody, Sonic Yoda from SEGADriven here. Welcome back to another collection video. Now I thought it would be interesting to take a look at some of the consoles Sega have been releasing games for since they've become a third-party software publisher. So to begin with, we're going to have a look at my collection of Sega games for the Nintendo Wii. Now the Nintendo Wii is actually my favourite of the current generation of consoles. I think it's considerably underrated as a hardcore gaming system. However much I hate using that word. But there's some really good bits and pieces on there. Sega were very good to actually offer adult gaming for Wii owners as well, with things like MadWorld and House of the Dead. And yeah, it's a really good system. I've learned to love it a lot. There's some really interesting stuff on it. And I love the way that it opened up video games to a wider generation of gamers, essentially. Because yeah, it's very family orientated, a lot more approachable as a system, and I think an awful lot of people that generally wouldn't play games definitely gave it a go, simply because it was a novel thing. Motion controls have been done in the past, but not nearly this good, and they got better once the Motion Plus came out as well. So yeah, let's go and have a look at my collection. So this is my Wii collection, so I suppose we better just go through the thing. So to begin, we've got Bleach Shattered Blade, which is an absolutely terrible fighting game, but because I love the series so much, I've actually pumped loads of hours into this actually, and ended up unlocking all the characters. Not very good at all. The fighting system literally is just waggling the remote, like in different directions for horizontal slashes, vertical slashes, and jabbing. And then I think there's a button to activate a special move, and that's about it. It's really that simple and that boring, unfortunately. Next up, we've got the Conduit, which I've completed. Good little game, actually. I'm not a big fan of FPSs generally, but I played this to the end, so something was keeping me hooked on it. And yeah, all right. Nothing special, nothing bad, just a decent FPS. This is actually the special edition, which comes with sort of a strategy guide, if I remember correctly, something similar like that. Anyway, and then there's the sequel. I prefer the way this plays simply because it supports Motion Plus. I really love the Motion Plus controller. Not enough games support it actually on the Wii, but yeah, it definitely makes the control scheme a lot more intuitive. Unfortunately, it runs in 30 FPS, so you can't really feel the accuracy of over something like Red Steel 2, which actually runs at 60 FPS and is just a lot more enjoyable and one-for-one with the Motion Plus. So yeah, a little bit of a letdown there, but still a decent follow-up to the other one. Pretty much a similar deal, just more FPS shooting action. This is one of the best light gun games of all time. Ghost Squad has been played so much in this flat with friends and stuff. It's just really fun and daft. All the unlockables like the war guns and the bikini women and stuff are just just really daft fun. And yeah, really recommend that one. And it's easy to get, really cheap actually. So if you're looking for a bit of on-rail shooting, this is highly recommended. Next up we've got, oh, this is brilliant. More on-rails light gun shooting, Gunblade NY and LA Machine Guns. Two of the best on-rail shooters available in the Sega Arcade, and finally got a home release. These have never received a home release before, and lo and behold, here they are on Wii. Yeah, really recommended that one. I'm not entirely sure if this, I think this is quite, I wouldn't say rare, but it didn't sell particularly well, even as a budget title. So if you see one going cheap, I would recommend that quite a lot. Right, more on-rail shooting. House of the Dead 2 and 3. Essentially just slightly expanded versions of House of the Dead 2 and 3 arcade versions. Good fun. The House of the Dead games are great. You can't really go wrong, but there's nothing really new to this other than some additional unlockables, which are just silly little things like extra lives and credits and some bonus mini games, but nothing outstanding. Right, this is probably my favourite Sega game on the Wii, House of the Dead Overkill, a sort of gritty grindhouse reboot of House of the Dead. Really stupid fun, lots of violence, lots of swearing. Doesn't take itself seriously at all. Really good fun. And this is the special edition, which comes with a bonus comic, which they actually added to Extended Cut on PS3 as a sort of digital version. I think you unlock the pages throughout the game. But yeah, really damn good game, and can't recommend that one enough. If you haven't got a Wii, then definitely check out the PS3 Extended Cut version, because it's essentially the same thing in HD. with some extra levels, which are alright, nothing special, but yeah, really, really good game. Next up we've got Let's Tap, which I think is massively, massively underrated. I've had loads of fun with this. So if you've never played it, essentially you put the controller down on a flat surface and tap to vibrate it, and then it picks up the motion through the vibrations, essentially. So you can, the main games are sort of like a running game where you tap lightly to sort of run and then tap hard to jump. There's sort of a Jenga style stack game where you sort of tap to get the panels out of the stack without knocking it over. There's lots of different bits and pieces, and yeah, just a really, really interesting idea and such a novel way of using the Wii remote. I can't recommend that one enough, actually. I think that's a great, great game, and yeah, just if you've ever seen it about and ignored it because it looks a bit sort of daft minigame shovelware, I would definitely give it a go. It's quite a surprising little game. Next up we've got one of Platinum Games' first games, so this is MadWorld. Kind of got a semi-sequel with Anarchy Reigns, but it's more sort of like just in the same universe. It doesn't really actually can follow the storyline of this at all. But yeah, it's a decent action game. I enjoy it. It's good fun, but it is very, very repetitive, and it can be massively difficult with some of the boss fights, and it's not very generous with its checkpoints, unfortunately. So yeah, can be a bit of a challenge, this one, but if you like your action games, this is stupidly violent and just really daft fun, and the commentators are absolutely brilliant. I can't recommend that enough. Listening to what some of the rubbish that they talk about is, yeah, they're just really good fun. But yeah, that's MadWorld. Oh, it's all toppling. Right, okay, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I love the first one. It's a really good minigame collection, actually. Runs in 60 FPS as well. It's got a lot of polish to it. Really good with friends. Really, really good game. The sequel, on the other hand, I like, but it doesn't feel like it has the polish of the other one, unfortunately. There's a lot more unlockables and customization that you can add to like your skis and snowboards and stuff, but it doesn't have that 60 FPS polish that the other one does. This one's in 30 FPS, and I don't know, it really doesn't give it the punch, and it changes the controls a lot. They don't feel as accurate as the first one, despite the fact, yeah, it should have been an improvement, really. But it's a good game. I'd recommend it as a minigame collection. It's pretty solid, but I just think the first one is the better of the two. I don't have the third one in the series, the London Olympics one, because yeah, I just don't for some reason. Right, so this is a Samba de Amigo remake by Gearbox Software, of all people. How mad is that? People that make Borderlands. So yeah, this is actually a really good version of the game. If you've never played Samba de Amigo, I'd recommend this because it's really, really cheap to find, actually. Quite common, and a really good rhythm game. So yeah, definitely worth a go if you like your rhythm games. I got this recently, actually. I've only been playing a little bit. So yeah, this is... it wasn't published by Sega in the UK, but its Japanese release was, because Sakura Wars is a Sega Japan owned IP. And yeah, it's a sort of dating sim / strategic RPG, and quite silly, very it's just weird. The story's actually gripping me to this quite a lot. I think it's a really well written game. The characters are quite endearing, and yeah, something different. It is quite rare though, so you expect to be playing in advance of £30 for this, despite the fact that it's a current gen game. Sega Bass Fishing. I love this. Really daft arcade fun. Proper over the top, as Sega games in the arcade generally are. Yeah, really, just a really good bit of fun. It takes some getting used to the controls, but once it clicks, it's actually a really enjoyable game. I can't recommend that one enough. Alright, the Sonics. Okay, so Sonic and the Black Knight, which is the sequel to Sonic and the Secret Rings, which is down here somewhere. Secret Rings I prefer to Black Knight. It's weird because between the two of them, they could have made a great game. Because I'm not a big fan of the control scheme of Secret Rings, but I do. I prefer the level design. whereas it's almost the opposite way around for Black Knight. I prefer the control scheme, but the level design is absolutely rubbish. There's an awful lot of waggling, spamming going on because there's massive waves of enemies, and you essentially just waggle the remote to kill them very quickly. So yeah, a little bit of a disappointment, that one. The control scheme definitely improved, but unfortunately level design not so good. On the other hand, Sonic Colors is possibly the best 3D Sonic game I've ever played. It's so good and really, really well built, and just, if you haven't played a 3D Sonic game recently, because, you know, the streak of terrible 3D Sonic games was definitely, you know, it's run its course. Definitely pick up Sonic Colors. It's such a good game. Really, really underrated, I think. And yeah, like I say, I think it's probably the best 3D Sonic game. It's really, really worth your time. Here's Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. I really like the Sonic Riders games. They're nothing special. They're just sort of arcadey kart races, except you're on hoverboards. This one probably not as good as the first because the motion controls are a bit rubbish. I don't generally play it with the motion controls. I use a controller. And it's got this weird mechanic where you can stop time and chuck yourself into the corner at like a higher speed. But it breaks the pace a little bit. It's a bit of a bizarre mechanic. So yeah, I like it, but be prepared for a weird control scheme if you're thinking about getting it. We just spoke about Sonic and the Secret Rings. Yeah, I prefer that out of Black Knight. It's a good little game, but the control scheme is completely motion based. So you tilt the controller to sort of turn left and right, but you're on rails essentially. It works, but I can't say I prefer it to just using standard controls. It doesn't feel like it needed it, to be honest with you. But yeah, definitely one of the better 3D Sonic games of recent years. So if you see that going cheap, I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of Sonic anyway. Sonic Unleashed. Werewolf stages, despise them. Daytime stages, I prefer them on the Wii version. I've got the PS3 version, and the daytime stages are very, very fast. Just not as well designed, unfortunately. I like the way the Wii stages sort of double back on themselves and they make better use of the space. Yeah, I just prefer the daytime stage on this. It's quite a short game, unfortunately, but I'd recommend comparing this between the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions, because I was surprised how much I enjoyed this over those daytime stages, especially. Last game of the list then, Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll. I don't have a Wii Fitboard, so I haven't really actually played this with the Wii Fitball controls, so I'm generally just using the remote and tilting it around. It's alright, it's a Super Monkey Ball game. It's not really breaking the mould, it does what it says on the tin. Nothing special, really, but it's a bit solid, puzzly fun. So there you go, that's the collection. So there you go, that was my Sega collection of video games for the Nintendo Wii. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure I'm going to come back and tackle other systems that Sega have been publishing games for since they went third party. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm Lewis Clark, aka Sonic Yoda. Please like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And yeah, come back for more great Sega content from me. Bye!